You know when you have just one of those days? You know, I'm talking the type of days where anything that could go wrong goes wrong. Anyone that needs something from you or just needs to contact you for whatever reason takes that opportunity. Yeah, one of those types of days. Um, that just like that was just my day today, okay? And it all started with the Spurs losing. Yeah. I've never been one to watch sports or really care at all. At all. And for whatever reason, the Spurs have lit a fire in me, right? I, for whatever reason, have discovered this profound love for the Spurs. And I think it's interesting because, like, basketball was probably the last sport I would ever, figure that I would, spark this new love for. Actually, no, that's a lie. It'd be golf. I don't understand why people like golf. And if you do, no hate, but it's just like, it's probably one of the most boring sports ever. I digress. But all that to say, I was heartbroken. I was left heartbroken. I was left livid. I went to bed livid. Not only did I not have an episode of Love Island, but I also stayed up to watch the game. And then they did what they did. And what can you do, right? Lost hella sleep. But that's just been the norm this week, A big change, not big, but, esque, is, my boss reached out to me and she was like, hey, like, would you be okay with going to this particular location, more, like essentially like 3 times out of the week? Can you go to this particular location? And I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. So essentially I'll be going there for the next like 7 weeks, right? Which there's no problem with that, right? It's not really an issue, but it's more so just like I don't have a proper word for it. I just kind of like describe it as like, is the place I have to go to is, it should be 45 minutes away from me, which is fine, more than okay. But because of traffic, because of this god-awful San Antonio traffic to and from, I spend, I kid you not, 1.5 hours to 2 hours on the road in the morning and in the afternoon. I'm tired, okay? Usually I only go to this particular location like once out of the week, right? Everything's fine. And if anything, I'm actually kind of happy about it because, I feel more at home at that clinic. And I don't know why. It's just something about the vibes just bring so much joy, so much comfort. Not to say like any of the other clinics like are bad. They're not bad. Like there's nothing bad about any of the other clinics. It's just like, I guess I just don't feel at home. Not that you should feel at home at work. Like you shouldn't, at least in my opinion, feel as if like it is, should it? I don't know. Because ideally you should have a job that you love and you're passionate about. And it should maybe feel like a second home. It should, right? I don't know. I feel a bit like, if jaded is the right word for it, I feel that. Whatever is equivalent to that. About feeling at home at work just because of like my own experiences, And so like I fully went into this job thinking like, oh yeah, I am just here to do my job, call it a day, cool. And that is literally the mindset that I put into the usual location that I go to, right? But now that I will be spending more time at this other clinic, it's kind of a nice change. I am kind of a victim of like my own like love for change, and that like change can be very overwhelming for me, especially if I'm not caring for myself to kind of like balance But like I do like it. You know, it is nice. All to say, right? I have not been getting enough sleep because I've been making the active choice. It's my choice. It's my own doing to stay up to watch Love Island and then to, on game days, watch the game. So you can imagine the happiness I felt when we were ahead, like what, with like a 30-point lead. Yeah, no, that hurt. That stung. It stung. And it just sucks, man. I think what like really just like cherry on top was seeing all of the celebrities at the game just like cheering, so much joy. And I think the aspect of just like the rich living their rich life and, you know, having this team that they adore so much win in the way that they won. Because if the roles were reversed, girl, I'd be through the roof, just like them, right? But I don't know why. But just seeing Taylor Swift, Timothée Chalamet, I don't think I saw Kylie Jenner. I only saw photos of her later. But like, I saw every celebrity in the book at that stadium, and it just like, you know, like it just. Because for whatever reason, in my mind, it's like that game represented the elite winning. You know, just whenever us peasants feel confident, we are, you know, becoming stronger. We are, you know, fighting against adversity. They just swoop in like nothing and take over again. Okay, pause. What am I talking about? Like, I'm sitting here like, girl, I'm tired, okay? At this point, just like, ignore me, okay? Yeah, so that was a really good night. It was really great. You know, I just went to bed, like, you know, super good. I had no trouble sleeping. But it just, yeah, no, so it definitely didn't help the fact that, like, this week I've just been just extra tired. And again, I admit, all my own doing. Like, literally this morning, I woke up, and I did it consciously, sort of. I woke up exactly at the time I was supposed to be leaving for work, and I was like, I literally went, I got up, went to my closet, picked out the same jeans I wore yesterday, a random sweater, didn't even comb my hair, didn't brush my teeth. I picked up my flat iron. I took it with me because I really thought that that was going to work in my car. Make that make sense. And then I just went to work. And then when I realized that the flat iron wasn't going to work in my car, thank the Lord I had the foresight to bring a chongle with me so I could at least like put my hair back and look presentable, you know. But like I was just so tired. And then it just didn't help that with everything that happened today at work, it's like the type of feeling where like you just can only laugh, you know? And it's so funny because, you know, all day I'm multitasking, I'm talking to people, I'm doing this task, I'm doing that task, I'm, you know, trying to stay calm. Like I was calm-ish, you know? I literally went into my office, closed the door, turned off the lights, which I don't usually do, and I just worked in darkness all day. And I had patients that were, you know, having trouble like communicating their thoughts properly, so like of course it was confusing me, and as a result, like I just didn't know how to articulate my thoughts as a result of that. Which just like, you know, you have to feel like, I don't even know. Like that's, this entire feeling is exactly what my day has been. And then additionally, right, I also had patients who were, they're not my patients, but like I spoke to them, like who were just like so spicy today. They were just spicy. We love a spicy queen. And like, I mean, according to this patient, I am just so incompetent and I can't do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And she just didn't have the time for it. And go off, queen. She knows what she wants and she knows how she wants it done. So like, yeah. I did have a moment though, where it was after this patient was, a bit spicy. I hung up the phone after the conversation was done, sat back, and I just bursted out laughing. And I told my coworkers, I said, I'm gonna go take a walk. I'm at my quota for the day. And I took a walk, took like a 10-minute break. And I'm proud of myself because like before, I feel like I would have just crumbled at that. But I did it. I had a moment where I practiced the breathing techniques that I learned in therapy. And while it didn't solve my problems, it didn't solve that I was still feeling overwhelmed, it allowed me to manifest whatever I was feeling into like a physical action so that I could like visualize me breathing it away. And obviously the problem isn't going to go away. Like I still have to deal with it, but it allowed me to at least digest it smoother. Unfortunately, as one does, you have feelings. We are human beings, we all have feelings, and so then when I got back to the room, I closed the door. It was still dark, right? I just had a moment where I felt the emotions come up. I just felt them, and I didn't want to just bottle them up again like I usually do. So I just let myself cry. I literally just hugged myself. I couldn't help but think about that version of myself that was stuck in that same position, that was stuck feeling overwhelmed and dealing with A, B, C, D, E, F, G all happening and all going wrong at the same time and everyone needing me and all these different things. Like I thought of her. Like that video of me that I posted a while back of like me talking about anxiety or whatever, like that was the version of me that I was thinking of. But also, the previous versions of me prior to that video was the result of, like I thought of her and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hug you. And I did. I hugged myself and I just let myself cry. I literally just pictured it as if like she was a separate person and she just needed a hug. And it was nice. It was nice to like give myself attention in that regard because like, especially when I'm at work, there's no one that's going to do that for me. Nor am I ever going to ask, because I'm at work. I don't know these people like that, but it was nice, and I'm glad I let myself have that moment. Because even though I can recognize that the day was a day, I can also recognize that it wasn't really all that bad. My therapist told me that like everything is a choice, and yes, like you can feel like a lot is out of your control, which trust me, I am like the biggest control freak on this planet. But like, I'm trying to practice it and like experience how I feel in practicing it of everything is a choice. And yes, while everything went wrong today and I dealt with just very lovely human beings, on the car ride home, I kept thinking to myself, like, all these people are struggling. They in their own way, in their own experiences are struggling, which is why they're seeking out care. And I am the medium. I'm like the bridge. I'm just a puzzle piece in that to help them in their journey. And well, yes, I did feel overwhelmed and I had 1,000,001 people messaging me about 1,000,001 things. Overall, it wasn't like a bad day. I may call it a bad day and like bad things went wrong, but like it's not a bad day. Like I'm going to choose to believe that it was an overall good day. This philosophy can apply to like everything, like there are going to be days where like you just can't muster, I guess, you know, how do I even word it? Like, you just can't choose happiness. Like, there are some days you just have to let yourself feel whatever you're feeling, but like, at least where I am right now in my life, I am actively trying to choose peace and tranquility and happiness, because if I can't do that, then I'm just choosing to be miserable, and I don't want to be miserable anymore. It's miserable, funny enough. This week has really made me realize like how important it is to listen to yourself and to care for yourself, and not just in the sense of like self-care, like skincare and all that. Like, yes, those are important, and right now I'm definitely utilizing those to help me, you know, create the illusion of like caring for myself, which, I mean, it is caring for yourself, but still, like, but it's like very important to make sure that you're also tending to the other parts of your life that also need attention. So like right now, a girl is tired. I need to sleep. I also need to go to the gym, which I haven't done this week because of my schedule and Love Island. But you know what? There's ways around that. I just have to figure out like how I'm gonna do that. Rant over. Yeah. Anyways, follow me on my platforms. Like this video, comment, do what you will. I'm gonna go take a long nap.